Welcome everyone to a week 2 of the NFL regular season edition of Enigma's Analysis. I am your host, Mr. Enigma, coming off a 10-5-1 week 1 prediction record. The one is from the hapless Detroit Lions, who couldn't hold a double-digit fourth quarter lead against a dumpster fire of an Arizona Cardinals team, and their brand spanking new rookie quarterback, Kyler Murray, who up until that point in the game had done absolutely nothing. So on behalf of all non-Detroit Lions fans, I suggest that the NFL just wash their hands of the Detroit Lions franchise. You've been around forever. You've never been to a Super Bowl. You wasted Barry Sanders, and you couldn't hold a lead against the 2019 Arizona Cardinals. I think you've had your chance. I think we've seen enough. Sorry, Detroit fans. I know you got to deal with the Tigers on top of everything else. Anyway, let's get on with it. Bucks Panthers. Panthers have a 7-point spread. Could be a little much, but considering that the 49ers beat the Bucks by double digits, I don't see why the Panthers can't. After all, no one on earth can ever stop Christian McCaffrey, the little scat back who somehow gets 200 scrimmage yards each game. I don't know why everybody acts like they've never seen him before. You take him out, you probably kill the Panthers' entire offense, but nonetheless, that being what it is the Bucks' offense really that bad? Jameis Winston, 2 pick sixes, playing for his life for a contract. Bruce Arians, I guess his quarterback whispering skills aren't what we thought they were. Of course, it is only week 2. But yeah, I go with the Panthers on that one. Cardinals, Ravens, is this going to be another blowout? Are the Ravens as bad as the Dolphins? Oh, sorry, not the Ravens. Are the Cardinals as bad as the Dolphins? Was Kyler Murray where he's at? Was that the fourth quarter of last week, or was it the other 3? I have to think that the Detroit Lions, being the opponents, was what allowed him to show off his skills. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't think I am. I think the Ravens blow them out. Take them to cover. And Chargers, Lions. Chargers have a 2.5-point spread. Hunter Henry's injured. I think that gives him the injury-prone label. But even so, the Chargers are good enough to whoop up on a lousy team like the Detroit Lions and take them to cover. Are the Lions as bad as that fourth quarter last week suggested? Matt Patricia and his stupid pencil can't seem to do anything right. Can the Chargers keep up their vicious rushing attack? Austin Eckler and company are more than carrying the load while another running back holds out and loses more and more leverage each passing week. Colts, Titans. Titans are a 3-point favorite. Colts, I think if they were playing against most other teams, last week's effort would have been good enough to win. The Chargers are really good. Titans, obviously they whooped up on a mess of a Browns team, but they still pretty much seem to have the same scheme that they've been running for the last few years and has made them 9-7. I think the Colts have a little bit of a higher potential ceiling. I'm going with the Colts for the upset here. I wouldn't bet a lot on that, but that's my pick. 49ers, Bengals. I was very hard on the Bengals last week. Andy Dalton surprised all of us. He is leading the National Football League in passing yards right now, and that is without A.J. Green to throw to. I guess it's always possible that maybe the Seahawks have a really lousy pass defense. I don't think that's the case, but I guess we'll find out. Bengals are 1-point favorites. I'm going to take them to win this simply because the 49ers offense, at least from what we've seen so far, doesn't seem to have any ability to pull their own weight. Jimmy G wasn't as bad as Winston last week, so they won, but it wasn't pretty either. They're getting hammered with injuries right off the bat again. Texans, Jaguars. Texans have an 8.5-point spread, which seems a little large, but I think they'll pull it off. I'll take them to cover. If Gardner Minshew, ugliest name I've ever heard, by the way, he plays well, is that enough for the Jags? Because he wasn't who lost them the game last week. Granted, all the rules kind of go out the window when you're going against the Chiefs' offense, but I think the Jags have a lot of holes other than just their quarterback. Poor Nick Foles, by the way. He'll be missed while he's gone. Texans O-line. I know that, they just got a lot of pieces 5 seconds before the season started, so you got to kind of give them a pass. But Watson got hit 6 times again. sacked 6 times again. I think he got hit 12 times. His back was sore at halftime. He's not going to make it through the year if he sets the record for NFL sacks. So can the Texans win when they're supposed to, when they're not the underdogs coming in? Packers Vikings, easily one of maybe two of the best games or most intriguing games this week. Can Rodgers get the offense in gear, especially against a really good defense in the Vikings? Or, did he just have week one jitters? Coach is still new. Don't really know where their ceiling is right now. Vikings obviously whooped up on the Falcons at home. That's awesome. But how do they do on the road? Kirk Cousins wasn't asked to do much. He did what he needed to perfectly. But if the defense and the running game can't carry the team, can Cousins pick up the slack? Packers are 3-point favorites, probably because they're in Lambeau. That's really my only basis for picking them over the Vikings. These teams both look really good in different ways. It should be a good one. I'll take the Packers, but again, I'm not very sure of that. Cowboys 4.5 favorites over the Redskins. Are the Redskins what they showed in the first half last week or what they showed in the second half last week? And how good are the Cowboys? They're good, but how good? I guess I'll go with the Cowboys. It's a division game. It's kind of tough to say, take them to cover. I think that's probably the safer choice. I guess if you're really feeling like taking a gamble, maybe go with the Redskins to beat the spread. But Cowboys are a pretty good road team, so I'll go with them. Seahawks, Steelers. Oh, God. Steelers are 4-point favorites because they're in Heinz Field. Maybe this is just wishful thinking on my part, but I taking them to win. I'm hoping that it was just them playing the Patriots, who were their kryptonite last week. I hope they're not truly that bad. I'm subscribing to the whole, hey, it's just one game philosophy. On the other side, can the Seahawks O-line give Wilson the protection he needs? That's been the storyline in Seattle for a really long time now. He was getting sacked left and right against the Bengals, who don't have the most remarkable defense. Going with the Steelers. Go on, don't let me down. Bills Giants. Neither of these teams did much to impress me. I think the Bills are less bad than the Giants, and Vegas seems to agree with me. They are 2-point favorites despite being on the road, so I'll go with the Bills to cover. Just how bad are the Giants? Are the Bills good, or are the Jets just completely inept? We'll see. That's another one I don't feel super confident in, but the Giants just didn't really show me much. Patriots, 18.5-point favorites on the Dolphins. Really, this is just a question of when do the Patriots take the gas off, or foot off the gas. Yeah, that's how that saying goes. Obviously, they're going to win. They're going to win big, but it's just a matter of when do they stop. I don't think you're going to make much of a statement by beating the Dolphins like 40-3 or whatever. But so maybe they could get some garbage time points that'll beat the spread. But I think you got to go with the Patriots to cover here. I mean, we know the Dolphins stink. I think that's pretty obvious. It's just a question of, is every game going to be a blowout? Chiefs Raiders. Chiefs has a 7.5-point favorite. Chiefs are 7.5-point favorites on this. Raiders looked pretty good last week. Not awesome. I think they'll beat weak teams. Got to see a little bit more before I declare them winners over any real major threats. I'll take the Chiefs to cover. But does Tyreek Hill's absence come into play? It didn't seem like he was really missed last week. Of course, who knows how playing the Jags affected that. Still don't really know where the Raiders are exactly, but how do they do against a really, really good team as opposed to one that was really bumbling in the Broncos? Saints-Rams, this is the other super intriguing one. Obviously, the playoff rematch. Got to take the Saints to win, even though the Rams are 3-point favorites. Rams obviously did well last week. They won against the seemingly good Carolina Panthers, but I don't know. The Saints just seem like everything's clicking for them. It's really just a question of how they do on the road. They're not in the Superdome this week. So are the Rams? The Rams are good, but are they still great? I think that's really the defining question here. This should be a fun one either way. Bears are 1.5-point favorites on the Broncos. Both these teams came out a little more limp than either one of them wanted to, I imagine. Trubisky really has a lot to prove after last week. I mean, the sports talk was brutal against him. Where's the Broncos pass rush? Obviously, if they're going to come back, this is the week to do it. Can Trubisky even be a decent game manager? Doesn't have to be great. He's got a great defense, just needs to be okay. Meanwhile, Flacco needs to pull some of that old playoff magic out of his hat or something like that, because from what we've seen so far with the new coach and Vic Fangio, defense suddenly just isn't there anymore. Sunday night game, Eagles versus the Falcons. Eagles are only 1-point favorites, which I find kind of hard to believe. I get they're on the road. I know the Falcons are probably not as bad as they showed last week. But that's the big question. Did they just have a bad game against the Vikings? And can the Eagles just start strong this time? They looked awesome in the second half. I think you have to feel good about where they're at right now. I'm definitely taking them to cover. But let's hope, if you're an Eagles fan, that them starting slow is not a trend that they're going to continue. Lastly, the Monday night game, Browns versus the Jets. Browns were 2.5-point favorites last time I checked, but that was before Sam Darnold was declared as having mononucleosis, so he's not playing. I can't bet on a Trevor Siemian-led team. I'm going to take the Browns to cover here, despite how messy they looked last week. Do they need to just get settled? Is it just, week one jitters, or are they really that bad? Are they a team that's going to improve as the year progresses? Where's the high-powered Jets offense? Like I said, I guess we're not going to find out with Trevor Siemian playing, but they were supposed to look a lot better than they did week one. So that's week 2 predictions and storylines. Check back next week to see how I did. Feel free to comment on how stupid my predictions are or how spot on they are. I don't know. My record was pretty good last week. Most of the ones I got wrong were ones that I acknowledged as being 50-50 toss-ups and that sort of thing. So be sure to like this video, subscribe to the channel. Thanks for watching. Enigma out.